Hi, Julia Watts here, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of demonstrations using products that are featuring on Create and Craft on the Let Leonie Loose shows on the 19th of December. All the products are available currently on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses, and they're also available from fairyhugs.com for worldwide shipping. So for this project we're going to be using a paper from the Morningwillow paper pad, and this, like all papers from Fairy Hugs, is 6x6, 24 double-sided sheets, 24 designs, 2 sheets of each, and they're 216 GSM, which is like a card quality. And they're, as I say, they're all double-sided. So with this set you've got like hills and a moon on a background, and then you've got a plain background without that on it, and that's reflected through all of the designs, and lots of different shades going from oranges, blues, purples, greens, yellows, pinks. I've used a lot of mine, but they are really lovely quality, and they've got a bit of a texture going on with them. I don't know if there we go, you can see it's like a linen texture that's in this one, but they're all flat and they're great for stamping on. So this is the one I've chosen for our project. I've just trimmed it down a little bit, not much, just a little. Let's go into our stamping platform. Really is essential to have a stamping platform, makes life so much easier. So we have a plan. Whether we'll deviate from that plan or not, who knows. So first of all we're looking at this fairy flower. I think this was out as part of the first anniversary collection in 2021. So the idea is that we're going to have this flower stem just about there, I think, and then we're going to bring in Winston on this side, and we're going to bring in Lola on this side. So we need to make sure we've got enough room for Lola, so maybe we'll bring that up just a wee bit so that she can fit in and we can get her all in there. So it's a good idea to have just a little bit of a play and see what's going to fit. I think instead of going black, I think we'll go dark brown. So we go for Pine Cone versus Fine Clear, just for a change. And this paper, because it's kind of, I suppose I'd say it's semi-coated, it's not super absorbent, so it's very kind to stampers of silhouette style stamps, because you do get a good image a lot of the time first time through. However, I've not used this stamp for quite a long time, probably for over 12 months, so not because I don't like it, but because there's obviously new stuff that comes out, so we might need to stamp it a second time, especially as it's that silhouette. But unlike watercolour card, this card doesn't suck up your ink. You can use pens and pencils on top of it, and use your distress inks and oxides with your stencils, and it will take that, it will be absolutely fine. Peel that off there. See, I've missed in the beginning there, in the middle. I want to move that across a little bit, make sure it's seated in the right place, and give that another press just in the middle, just to pick up some of that ink, and then we'll go again. The stem's fine, it's just the flower where all the detail is. Obviously you want to make sure that it's really pressed up in the corner before you stamp and when you re-stamp, so that you keep all that detail. Obviously a juicy ink pad helps. There seems to be only re-inkers for the Nocturne, which is the black, unfortunately. It'd be really nice to have all the colours having re-inkers. Maybe there is in Japan, but in the UK there isn't, because Versifying Clairs are made by Tsukiniko, Japanese company, high quality inks. They bring you Versifying, they bring you the Memento ink pads, Versacraft, top quality Versamark as well. Make sure that it's got a really good press, so I don't have to do it again. Yeah, that'll do. That looks really fab. Let's hold that up so you can see. So sorry about the light and the shadow. Really, really lovely stamp, that. I mean, you could just put this on a pretty paper actually, and then put happy birthday or whatever your message you want to be, and you'd be good. Let's take that off there carefully. They are photopolymer stamps made in the US. Really nice deep quality. They're not acrylic, so they're not squidgy. And I've been using some of mine for over 2 years, and they're absolutely fine. That away. Then with these, there's the flower, there's also the fairy flower accessories. Now the accessories can be used in anything. They could be used with, say, the fairy liana and be hanging off of the branches of that, or of the fairy branches, whatever you want. But they're designed to work with this particular flower. But it's up to you. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. So we're just going to have perhaps a present hanging from that petal. Sticking to my fingers. You don't want a gap, but you don't want to be overlapping too much. We've got there's a couple of hearts, so we can have a heart perhaps up here, like so. There's a letter. Where should we put the letter? Let's have the letter come in. Get off my fingers. It's sticking to me. It's not sticky, it's just you want it to stick, because you want it to stick to the block if you're using a block. I don't think that's in the right place yet. Let's have that there. Let's have, obviously you don't have to use all 4, but we've got 4 in the set, so let's use them so you can see what they all look like. Okay, so pick those up. Let's just double check that Winston's not going to clash. He is. That's going to be a bit unfortunate, so we're going to take that one off in a sec. Let's swap these round. Let's perhaps put that heart down there. See, I'm faffing. I don't want 2 hearts close together, so we're going to... Actually, let's put that one up there. Let's have the present coming from that one, because it's quite a wide one. What if we can have... Lola's a bit lower down, so we can have that like that. And if we have this heart swinging from that, so they don't have to be straight, do they? I'll put that there like that. Check Lola's alright. Lola's gonna... Oh, faff. I want Lola to be... We'll sort this out, hang on. Put that down. I don't want 2 hearts next to each other. Let's put that like that. So Lola's going to be fine there. Winston's going to be fine there. Win-win. Got there in the end. Like I say, you might not want to use all of them. It might be a bit over the top, but we're just doing them so that you can see them all. You can, I know that Bonnie's done a card where, I think it's the Dancing Frogs, we're dressing the decorating tree for Christmas, and she's used the present here from the Flower Fairy Accessories, and she's just cut the kind of hanging ribbon off, and she's used them just as piles of gifts, and put the gift in the hands of the frogs, which is quite cute. So there's there they are hanging from the branches. I'll hold it up in a sec so you can see. So you've got really lovely detail on that. Wait for the camera to adjust. Okay. So those are your fairy flower accessories. You could just put all presents in there. You don't have to use them, you know, all of these, obviously. Like I say, I've only done it so that you can see them all stand out, because the packaging's really good, but it doesn't necessarily show you that fine detail that you get with the stamps. So now let's have our two doggies. Winston. So let's have him further down, because otherwise he's going to look a bit weird, isn't he? He could be on that hill, but he's not. Make sure it's pushed up, and then we're going to bring in Lola. Lola looks like she's very mischievous, probably like Leonie's dog. Leonie's dog's called Lola, or one of them. Lola's tail. Obviously, I mean, I'm dealing with this 6x6 paper pad, but if you wanted to, you could have a longer card, and then the doggies could be further away from the branches, and it might look a little bit better. But we're just working with what we've got, like so. Let's perhaps stamp these in a lighter brown, so we go for acorn rather than the pine cone. Again, it's a VersaFine Claire. Winston might turn out a bit darker because he's had black ink on him. But that's all right, it'll be fine. Let's go again, just so that, because we've obviously got the background paper coming through. That is something that does happen. So we just do it a little bit darker so we can hide that a little bit more. Again, make sure it's pushed up into the corner before you stamp again. There we go. There's your doggies. Look very playful, don't they? Lola and Winston. I have recorded other videos to go with this show that's on Create and Craft, so you'll find those on my YouTube channel as well. They've all gone live on the same day, so I thought I'd just split them up so that you've got smaller videos to watch rather than a 3 or 4 hour jobby. So now we're going to put a sentiment on. We're going to have "It's Your Birthday," and we're going to pop that down there because the dogs are celebrating your birthday, or maybe they're celebrating their birthday, or a doggy friend's birthday. It might be. Okay, and we're going to do that in the dark brown, so we do that in the pine cone. Just had a tremendous storm here. It's very dark. I'm going to go again, so that's a little bit light there. Better. And I think we're done on that as far as the stamping is concerned. Let's actually etch your birthday off. Covered in ink as usual. So just to finish this off, all I would do is grab a pen and maybe colour in with the coordinating colour. Let's see what colour this is. That's a little bit dark. I'm not used to these pens yet. These are koi. That's fine. So we just add a little bit of colour to the box. And maybe go here. Like so. And maybe a little bit to the envelope. Brown, isn't it? But we could have a brown envelope. Like so. I don't think I'd do that. I think I'll leave the flower as it is. And we'll pop that onto a piece of... I've gone onto black card because I usually use black, but it could have gone onto dark brown. Chocolate Bliss would be nice from Sentimentally Yours to pop it on. When I plan these, I never know what colour ink I'm going to stamp with until I actually do it. Oh, that's my stomach, sorry. I'm not hungry, honestly. That looks straight. I think so. A good old press. This is when some of the ink comes off on my mat. And there we are. Sweet, isn't it? So obviously before these paper packs existed, we were making these kind of cards just with our own backgrounds, and that's a jelly plate, 4-inch round jelly plate print with distress ink, and it's the same kind of layout as what we've just done, just with a different sentiment on it. You can also do the fairy flower, just the top of it, and that's a fairy called Julia, named after me, who stood on there, and that little cat is called Ed, after my cat. And there's the balloon is from the balloon sentiments, and the little streamer is from Party Streamers, and then you've got fireworks in the background. Here Lola is grabbing a balloon, made in the same way with the Party Streamers and the balloon sentiments, and we've got one of the little gnomes and the ink cap mushrooms there. And this is a journal page, the same kind of thing, but with the cats rather than the dogs. So let's go on to a second demonstration for you. I've got lots here, lots. So for this one, we're using a paper from the Thunderglow paper pad, which was one of the first paper pads that Fairy Hugs did. So you've got lots of alcohol ink type backgrounds on this one. Again, exactly the same thing, 6x6, 24 double-sided sheets, 24 designs, 2 sheets of each, and still 216 GSM. So exactly the same as the others. So we're going to go for an under the sea kind of vibe with this one. Let's pull all my bits off. So the paper I've chosen is this one, which I quite like. It's a bit kind of, you've got the teals in there, and it's a bit rusty, and I quite like that. And I'm going to put the Pebble Beach stencil on top of that. So I'm going to do a little bit of inking, and I think we're going to go for a bit of rusty hinge. Let's grab a, hold on with them, there they are. A stencil brush. What colour that's had on it? These are the Craft Artist stencil brushes, which I do have on my website. So we're going to, as you see, I've trimmed the paper down a little bit so that the pebbles fit on the outside. And if you look at the stencil, you've got pebbles just going around this corner, but there isn't pebbles around that corner. So I tend to have this at the bottom, if I remember. You can always turn your paper around, obviously. This is a this is a great stencil. I like. You can't pick ink up from the top, can you, really? I mean, there's quite a lot going on in this background anyway, so it's just to give it a bit more texture. Hopefully the rusty hinge is showing up. I think it is. The light isn't very good in here, so I do apologise. It's got so many ideas with these stamps that are on the shows. I thought I'd commit some to video. As you do. Obviously you can glue this down with a bit of low tack tape if you wanted to. Why would I do that when that's easier? You can see that. Got a bit, you can just see that there, a bit of pebbles. Is it dark enough? It is a little bit extra, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm going to go for a darker ink on top of that as well. I'm sure I've got a darker one. Oh, I've got ground espresso. Let's try that. I think the rusty hinge is a little bit too close to the colour that is already on there. But it's fine because we can just reposition it. And it doesn't matter if it's off slightly. Makes no difference whatsoever. Ground espresso would be much darker. So same thing. It is always a learning curve. There's always something to learn. everything right, you'll never learn anything. Move slightly. I can definitely see it because I could line it back up again. I don't use ground espresso very often, actually. Not often at all. It's funny that, isn't it? You should challenge yourself to use colours that you don't use very often. Okay, let's go with that. Oh, that's better. I can see that. So obviously that's going to wash off in water. You can see that, can't you? Definitely see that now. I like that bit of texture that's added to it. Marvellous. Let's mop up before we do anything else. You can see where my camera is. That's what happens when you have to have the light on. Otherwise I'd be guessing where everything is. Might end up being better, you never know. Right, so I also thought that we'd stamp the net as well. So we are really just building up the backgrounds. This is one of the first Fairy Hug stamps ever, number 8, and this was the one of the first ones that I used on my very first show for Fairy Hugs, which was on the 6th of October 2020. I know that date. Right, so as it's a background and we're not too worried about how it actually stamps, we're going to just use a block. I am going to stamp it off first of all so we can actually see what it looks like. Let's grab a piece of paper. Because you may well not see very much of it at all. And I am actually, I think, I'm going to go for an archival as well. What have I done with archivals? I've put them somewhere. Oh, there they are. Let's go for this one. Here allowed crash, then everything's fallen off. What is this? Oh, that's vintage photo. Ground espresso. Let's go for ground espresso again, because then we'll see it. So this is a distress archival. It does dry quite quickly. It's not like VersaFine. I've got something on my stamp there. Extra bit of net. Stamps and see if we're going to be happy with it. You can, with a big stamp, you can actually turn it over and you can push from the other side. Obviously we won't be doing that when we're doing it on the other one. So it's a little bit distressed. So you're never going to get it quite as crisp as VersaFine, because archival does dry very quickly, especially when you're dealing with the big stamp and a little ink pad. But that'll be fine on my background, I think. You won't, like I say, you won't see a lot of it because that background's quite busy anyway. But we'll just see how we go. Decided where to put it yet, which is why I'm still inking, because I haven't got a clue where I'm going to put it. I think what we'll do is let's go for a little bit up here. So we do kind of opposite sides to where most of the pebbles are. Just about see it in there. Wait for the camera. and then we'll do a little bit perhaps down below. In fact, should we do a bit across the middle? Doesn't really matter where it is, does it really? I'm feeling I don't want to do it across the middle though, because then it'll look like it's just plonked there. I quite like it off the corners. Trying to give it a good old inking. It is quite a fine detail stamp as well. I don't think I found any. I didn't pull out any samples with Oscar on and the net to show you, unfortunately. Sorry. You'll find them on my website if you look for the net and for Oscar. I did do I think there is actually a YouTube video where I did put gilding flakes on Oscar. That worked really well. It's a little bit darker there because obviously the ink has started to work on there. So we've got the net going on in there as well. So let's just put that to one side. So I think that's my background all done. So for the actual images, because this is so dark and clearly we're not going to be able to see very much, what we're going to do is stamp them on some watercolour card and then fussy cut them out. I mean, I've already cut them out, so don't worry, you haven't got to watch me do that. Oh, there's my other magnet. I wondered where that was. So this is Sentimentally Yours Super Smooth Watercolour Card, hot pressed. So hot press means it's nice and smooth, which is great for stamping on. Cold press is when you get the texture on watercolour card, and that's a little bit of a challenge to stamp on. So make life easy and actually use some hot press. So first of all, let's do Oscar. Oscar is the octopus. Let's stamp him first. I am going to stamp them, although I could do them all in one go, I am going to stamp them separately because then you can really focus on that one particular image. And we're going to stamp him in Nocturne, which is the black. And when you're stamping like this, it's a good idea to actually have perhaps a couple of sheets. I think this is an A5 sheet. Have a couple of sheets, so stamp once and then fetch it out and then put another one in and stamp again, because that means that if ever you want to do the same thing again, or use the same stamps but in a different scene, then you've got one where the ink is dry, because you can cut them out when you've just stamped, but if you give the ink a day or so to dry, then it does mean you don't have to be quite so careful at holding it and you're not going to smudge it. So that's what I would do. It's always great when I find out that I've got one stamped already that I want to use, so I don't have to actually stamp it and wait for it to dry. Right, let's see how Oscar's stamped. Remember, this is watercolour card, so it's a little bit light. So we're going to go again because the watercolour card sucks up the ink. Tap, 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 tap. I don't know what his kind of head is called. Do they have, I don't know if they have special names for that bit of him. It's his head. I need to pay more attention to that because that's where you've got the more solid stamp. It is a little bit of a challenge to fussy cut, but I'm going to show you a way around it so you don't have to do it quite. You don't have to make life difficult really, because he is actually best, if you're going to have the whole thing, he's best stamped directly. Okay, so that's Oscar. Magnificent Oscar. hopefully you can see the detail on that. Okay, that's him. It's quite a big stamp actually, very big stamp. I'll put it in a minute. And then we've got Raphael, who's a turtle. Magnificent turtle. He's number 15, but he was out at the same time. So let's have him there. So we're going to cut them out. So he can be wherever you want them to be. And we'll do him in black as well. He's very easy to cut out. And if you do find images like this are very easy to cut out, you know, stamp 2 or 3 of them because they're there and you know they're easy to cut out, so they're good to call on if you need them. He's fab, he doesn't need doing again. Raphael. I think maybe he's a Spanish turtle. I would love to see it when all the, you know, when they breed and they all go, the little ones all head down to the sea. I bet that's a wonderful sight to see. Right, let's have the, this is the rowboat. It's a wooden rowboat, which is quite lovely. And we're going to stamp this in the pine cone, I think. Make sure it's put up to the edge. And where's my pine cone? There it is. So remember, this is a very dark brown. I think Fallen Leaves might be the darkest. Detail on that. Amazing stamp. So those are the images that are on the show that I wanted to stamp. I've also stamped the treasure chest, which isn't on the show, but I think it fits quite nicely. I've also used the treasure sentiment as well, which I've stamped and just matted onto some black card. So those are in stock on my website, but not on the show. So there's my stamped images. And so arranging these on here, in fact, yes, I think we need to do it before we stick it down. What I thought we'd have is perhaps Raphael coming in up here. And I think sometimes they look better when you're putting them on a background like this. They look better not coloured in. Having said that though, this is coloured in, this boat. And the treasure is going to go in the boat. So I need to just make a slit in there. So I need to find my craft knife. I'm just going to pause while I find that. Okay, so I couldn't find my craft knife. Goodness knows what's happened to it. So I've had to use my scissors. So this isn't brilliant. But got a little slit in the boat and then the treasure chest is just going to sit in there, and it's going to go down here like that. Not glued anything down yet. I thought we'd have You Are My Treasure actually in the centre like that, and so we could have Raphael just holding on to that maybe, and then we could have Oscar coming in at the side, and he could be holding that as well. So that's what we're thinking. Don't worry about all this whiteness on the edge. We're going to get rid of that in a second. So where's my little snips? What I've just done with them? I had them there. So if we're going to do that, we know that we're going to have Oscar. He's going to go ow, 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 ow. Right, we know he's going to come off here like that. So he's not fully snipped yet, but because we need to cut all this out. Just kind of roughly. These are the Tim Holtz, I think they're called snips. So they're a mini version of the bigger scissors. Hold on to that because it's not as robust as it is when it's a full image. I mean, some of this is going to get snipped off anyway as well. Through. Okay, we've got this little bit here. And here. It's quite good to have things coming off the card. Obviously we couldn't have all of his legs hanging around because they're going to get bent. And we have got another couple of bits of white there, but I'm not going to stress about those. That would make fabulous foliage. We're not going to have that, but wouldn't that make such a cool journal page? Addition to, so I'm not throwing that away, I'm keeping that. Right, so let's put down, let's get this You Are My Treasure stuck down first. The temptation is to mat it and layer it first and then stick your images on, but you don't want to do that because it's the sort of thing I always do. If you do that, you can't trim Oscar's legs off properly. So You Are My Treasure, hopefully that's in where we want it. That'll do. See if that's straight. There is a bit of move time on the glue. Yeah, let's get Oscar on first. Might be the last video I do today because I can't see where the glue's going. Okay, so we'll pick that up. I've got tweezers somewhere. They've been on my desk forever, but because I've just been looking for something. Oh, I was going to do something else. Right, okay. Let's get him on, and then we'll do that other thing I was going to do. So I'm just going to dab off some of the excess glue and a bit of kitchen roll. Don't leave it too long because it'll stick. And we want to have Oscar holding on there. We want it to dry before we snip it off anyway. I was going to stick some frilly seaweed down the bottom, so let's do that. Put those to one side for a sec. We'll go back into our stamping platform because we're done. And because the images are flat, we can still stamp. Right, so this is the frilly seaweed, and it is on the show. I don't know how much of this we'll actually see, but we'll give it a go. Big one, so 2 sizes. It would be quicker to do it off of the block, but I think what colour should we do? Let's do Rainforest, which is a dark green. Then we'll be able to see it. This desk is an absolute tip. Let me do the big one first. So we've only got, you can just about see it. It's an, oh, can't even show you properly, can I? Just about see it. So I'm not sure whether this is actually adding a lot to it, but I wanted to use it, so I'm going to. Where's the other bit of this tape? Tape Oscar's not stuck. No, he's not. You're all right. It's very fine, this stamp, which is why we're struggling to see it. Rainforest. It's a bit darker. Second stamping and all that. And then we'll do another one, perhaps here. And the smaller one I'll do in a different colour, and I'll do over the top. We might use Shady Lane, I think, over the top. Or we could go for a blue, just to mix it up a little bit. And let's move that over so we can get the acetate again. Over here. And I think we'll come out of the stamping platform to do the small one. So I can see what I'm doing. I can't really see what I'm doing with this. Oh, got a magnet. So where's the small one? We go for Shady Lane. Stuff everywhere. Gosh, what a mess. And the small one. This one's a little bit denser. Let's go for a big block. I said a blue, didn't I? Oh, let's go for blue. Because it's like, it could be seaweed or it could be coral, couldn't it? I don't want a matching blue. Let's go for paradise. Let's see how that's going to look. Yeah, that's darker, isn't it? know we've got some seabed going on. Okay, right. Go back to gluing now. So where's Raphael? Where did he go? Here he is. So Raphael's going to go up there. Oh no, don't turn it over because it's nearly empty. This. Again, we'll get rid of the excess. Just means you don't have any oozing out, and it also means that it dries quicker. And then we've got our boat with our treasure in it, at the bottom of the ocean. So we can put a little bit of glue down there so that the treasure sticks to the top of the boat and isn't flapping around. Again, I'm going to get rid of the excess. Not to smudge my images. And then very important, before you stick it down, you want to trim off the excess of Oscar. So we turn it over. And hope that we're not cutting into the paper. Looks good. Good sharp scissors. Stick my fingers in the glue. Get rid of that. I'm liking that, it's looking good. And then we'll glue it down onto our piece of black card. Look at this background on here. Again, this is from Thunderglow, just as a reminder. You will find all of the Fairy Hugs paper pads in stock on my website. If there's anything that you want that's out of stock, just click on the email when available button and you'll be notified as soon as I have it back in stock. I do carry virtually the whole of the Fairy Hugs catalogue. That may change because I'm running out of space. So it may change. I've got a bigger border on this one. I don't know why I did a bigger border on this one. It makes it harder to line it up. Let's give that a press. So there we are. We've got the two projects from today. Two very different projects. One under the sea and one over the top. So we have the fairy flower and fairy flower accessories with Lola and Winston and It's Your Birthday's sentiment, which isn't on the show. And you've also got your Morningwillow paper pad there, which isn't on the show. And then we've got our rowboat, Raphael, Oscar, net in the background, frilly branches, and the Pebble beach. Remember that stencil that I used, which has faded into the background, but it's all about texture. They're all on the show. Then I've used You Are My Treasure and the treasure chest, which aren't on the show, and also the Thunderglow paper pad. So I'll just give you a closer look so you can see all the detail that there is there on the papers and on the stamps. So that's the first one, and then this is the one that we've just just finished. I'm rather partial to that one. I really like how that one's turned out. It's good when a plan comes together, isn't it, really? And it doesn't matter that I've got that extra little bit of white that I haven't cut out there. I mean, now I've shown you, you're going to notice it, but there you go. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. As I said, this is where you can find all of the products for shipping to UK addresses. If you're outside the UK, you can find them at fairyhugs.com. Trying to straighten that up for you because I'm on the wonk a bit. Also on YouTube, if you can like and subscribe on my YouTube channel, that would be absolutely fantastic. As there's over 50 videos using Fairy Hug stamps on there, and lots of other stamps as well. And then on Facebook, you'll find me at Julia Watts Crafts. And if you're on Facebook, also make sure that you join the Fairy Hug store group, because that's where where the design team share their samples, and we love to see your makes on there as well. So just finally, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.